Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the first Friday of February. This is Feisty on Friday. Wow, there's a lot of iteration there. Alliteration. Anyway, I am the founder of Tosca Coaching and Consulting, and I do corporate culture change work. I do career coaching, and I help people tell their authentic stories and build solid marketing foundations. Anyway, so that's a little bit about me if you're hopping on for the first time. And what I do with these Feisty on Fridays is I let myself get all kind of worked up. I let the fire burn inside about whatever it is I want to talk about. Some weeks are a little feistier than others, right? Suffice it to say. Anyway, this week's topic is on the fact that the work just gets deeper. Yeah. So it's about not being discouraged when you're not seeing the results that you want, even though you're working so hard on yourself and on your dreams. And I say this because, I think what happens is people, you can realize, oh, I've got this thing I got to work on, whatever it might be. Oh, I take things too personally. Oh, I work too hard. Oh, all these things that you see about yourself that you want to change so that you can live a happier life. And, when you do the work, the real work of this lifetime, which is the work on ourselves, the work of unpeeling the layers of who we really are and really allowing our true authentic selves to shine. When you are doing that work, let me tell you, you kind of unpeel and you unpeel and you unpeel and you think you've gotten to the bottom of it, and then you realize, oh, I just revealed a whole nother onion that I need to unpeel and unpeel and unpeel. And I think that can get discouraging. When you say, what? I thought I already worked on my shit. I thought I already got through that. I thought I figured it out. Or I changed my life. I changed my diet. Or I left that job that was toxic. And why aren't things coming to me? Why aren't things happening? And I get that. Because things don't happen on our timeline. They don't happen. We can't control that, right? We can only control what we're doing and our actions and our thoughts and all that stuff. And so, I think in that process, what's beautiful is that the work does get deeper, right? And then there's more freedom as you unpeel. I think the reality is, and nobody wants to hear this, but the work is never done. When you're working on yourself, the work is never done. Because we can keep going deeper and keep revealing our truest self. And look, even for me, I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to say it because it can be discouraging. But also I think that's the way life goes. Should I start singing? I bring up this topic, usually I pick these topics, based on either what I'm experiencing or maybe what my clients are experiencing, or usually it's both at the same time, But, for example, I've been working on limiting beliefs, releasing limiting belief systems from my body, right? From my mind for a couple of years, but really, since before I quit my corporate life. And then this summer I felt like I had this aha, and I was letting more limiting beliefs go. And then, January came and it's what? I'm still butting up against limiting beliefs. What the hell? Can I be done with this now? And then you kind of have to go deeper. right? To like get through that next layer. And there's something, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, maybe not, but there's something called cord cutting, right? So maybe you have a relationship with somebody in your life. Oh, maybe it's an old friend, right? Let's just say you have an old friend and you guys have been through your ups and downs and you still stay in touch, but there's still like a lot of like negativity or things like that are hanging on with that relationship. And so there's this idea, this concept called cord cutting, where you can like energetically release the stuff that's not serving you, like the negative aspect of your relationship. It's not saying I'm cutting the cord with that person. It's certainly not physical. It's really like in your mind, in your meditation. And so what you can do with that is in meditation, you can just call up the people that you need to cord cut from and allow yourself to be released, like from that negative pull with that person. It could even be a boss, right? And I've done I've done this practice a number of times. Hi Vitalica, good to see you here. I'm talking about cord cutting actually, and I'm using this kind of as an example of how the work gets deeper. So like I've done exercises where I've cut cords with people that I love and that I talk to all the time, but that there's still some negative connection there that's not serving me. And I cut the cord and I'm like, okay, cool. Oh, I released that, I let that go, and then it might be 6 months later or sooner or whoever knows, that I realized, oh man, I got to cut the cord again. And it's because the work gets deeper. Oh no, you can't hear? Shoot, I wonder if that's the case for everybody. Or it's, I don't know. Let's see, let's try something. Let's see if it's on my end. Oh no, I can't see if it's on my end. Can you hear me now? No? Ah, you got it? You can hear me now? Is that working? Let me know. So, because if I gotta cut this off. Okay, all good. Okay, good. Yeah, so talking about cord cutting and, so, and the work goes deeper, right? And you access these deeper relationships that, aspect of your relationships that's like, you got to let go of. And, that's why and I come back to this overall topic of, the work. When you're doing the work on yourself, it just gets deeper and deeper, and it may feel like you're going in circles and you're not getting anywhere, but that's absolutely the opposite of what's true. You are actually making a lot of progress, and it's kind of like I look at it like it's like this spiral staircase, right? And there's these themes in our lives that are, I think, we work on for the rest of our lives, because that's our healing that needs to happen, and it gets easier and easier. But what happens is there's so many layers of these big themes in our life. And for me, right, limiting beliefs is one of those themes that I have to continuously come back to and go deeper with that work, because there's such deep embedded limiting belief system within me. So what happens is I see it and I'm like, okay, great, let me like address it. And I'm good, and I'm like, all right, I find some relief and I find some opening and some like expansion. And then, at some point I come back around to it and I'm like, oh, I'm hitting this again. And like there's this resistance, right? Because you're just like, wait, can't I be done? No, you can't be done. So then I go, okay, I'm going to face it head on, and I'm going to do the deeper work, and I figure out what that is. And that, deeper work, that might be, I use this cord cutting exercise, right? Okay, do the cord cutting exercise again. It might be, oh my God, I gotta go deeper. I gotta talk to a therapist. Or it might be, I need to do some somatic work. I gotta like go see an acupuncture. Or I gotta like go see a craniosacral therapist, or I gotta get it out of my body, right? There's like cells that are holding on to like these limiting beliefs, and I need to like let go of it. And so the work can look differently each time it comes around. And so that's something to notice too, right? But, and then it comes back around, and it's like this spiral, and every time it comes back around, it becomes just a little bit easier. You notice it a little bit quicker, right? And you've got some tools in your toolbox because you've dealt with it before. What did you do? And then what else are you needing in that moment? I was talking to a friend, and she realized she's, one of her things is like overworking, like, right, overdoing. And she called me and she was like, man, I did it again. She's all frustrated with herself. I did it again. Like, I overdid. And I'm like, yeah, but like, my friend, like, you recognize it so much sooner. Like, you didn't overdo for like 6 months or a year. You like overdid for maybe 2 months or a month or whatever it was. And like that is progress. Like, celebrate that. And now that you're facing it again, now you can say like, okay, what do I need now? Like, how do I unhook from that? How do I, break the pattern? And so again, I think it's just not being discouraged by the same themes coming up again. It doesn't mean that you're not doing great work. It doesn't mean that anything is wrong with you. It just means that this is the thing that the universe is like saying, yeah, this is your thing to work on, so yeah. And there's another thing. Okay. So I also talk to people that get really frustrated. Like, I'm doing all this stuff, right? Like, I'm doing my practices. Like, I started yoga, and like, I'm feeling good, and like, I'm eating better, and like, I'm doing all the things, right? And yet the thing that they want still isn't coming into their life, right? For example, a job. Actually, I've had a few people literally in the past week that are like, but it's not happening. It's not working. So then we have to look at, okay, you've got positive things going on. You've made some huge shifts in your life in order to attract what it is that you want. But then we have to ask ourselves, okay, if you're still not feeling things happening, then what are you holding on to that's not serving you, right? What beliefs are you holding on to? What stories are you holding on to? What fear are you holding on to? And then look there to see, okay, what else is going on within me that I may not be aware of that I now need to address in order to really unblock myself from what I'm saying to the world, to the universe, to myself, to everybody that I want, right? And I think what's interesting is that often that block can be a fear or a lack of confidence, where we're actually like fearful that we're not going to be able to, like, for example, do that job, and so that fear is keeping us, or maybe we're not dreaming big enough, and the universe is like is making sure all these doors are closing because it knows that like you're meant for something bigger and you're still playing too small, right? So when we're doing the work, and we're still not seeing, we're frustrated by not seeing it. We just have to ask ourselves, what are we holding on to that's not serving us? And what thought patterns are going on in our head that are maybe bringing our vibration down? Like, are we telling ourselves like, oh, this is never going to happen for me? right? Like, is that the story that you're telling yourself? Because that's not going to serve you at all, you know? And I mean, this has really happened to me so much. Like, I remember when I was interviewing like for months. And I think I told a little bit of the story last Friday, which was that I was still giving so much energy to the job where I was, even though I was like fully like knew I had to leave. And so part of that process was like letting go of like trying to make things work at my current job, because like I knew it wasn't, I knew I was moving away from it. So it was about like not putting energy into my past and making sure I was putting energy into my future. So that was part of that journey. And the other part is, so I had like a bunch of, I had this opportunity to interview, and it was like a super day, right? It was like I had 5 interviews in one day. And, you know, I was in there, and I was across the table from a guy that felt like a very different energy than mine, you know, and frankly, he was from a different country, so there was a whole different culture, right? But you know, I'm very passionate and outgoing and outspoken, and he seemed very like stoic and not excited to talk to me. And, you know, in interviews past, right, I may have taken the stance of like, okay, let me just match this guy, right? Let me just try to like fit in to like however he is being. And in that moment, I said to myself, you know what? Like, I just got to be me. Because at the end of the day, if I were to get a job offer, I want them to know who I am and that they're actually hiring me and not this like masked version of me, you know? And I literally made the conscious choice in that particular conversation, which I think was like the first of the day actually. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be me, and I'm not going to like hold back, and I'm going to be my passionate, outgoing, fabulous self. And you know what? Like, I got that job offer, and that was, you know, that was like letting go of these false truths that you have to conform to the environment, to the people, to whatever, you know, and that you can't bring your whole self to the table. You can't be your authentic self. Like, that's bullshit. You know, that's not true. So yeah, you know, and even that work gets deeper. Like, you know, continuing to let me be myself. This whole idea of the Feisty on Friday platform is like, you know what? Like, there is nothing wrong with a woman getting on a freaking soapbox and having an opinion and sharing it and letting her passion and her fire and her anger or whatever comes up come to the surface. Like, I think people need to see that, but that wasn't something that I gave myself permission to do right away. Like, it was a process to be like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. And I'm going to do it without notes. I'm going to do it without like doing all this planning and pre-work and putting bullets on a piece of paper, because I wanted it to just come from my heart and be authentic. And what does that mean? That means I had to let go of this limiting belief that things have to be polished when you put it out there, that I have to be super, like, my most professional, buttoned up self. Like, no, I don't need to do that on this platform in this way, in this space, or I don't really have to do that anywhere if I, if I don't want, So, yeah. So the notion of going back to this whole topic, right, of don't be discouraged when the work gets deeper. It just means that you are doing awesome work and you are pushing another edge. You're pushing another edge of expansion, another edge of comfort, and sure, you might hit some resistance. You might be like, oh my God. My brother triggered me again. I thought I was like all zenned out about, that relationship. No, it's like triggering me again, why? And then you just interrogate, like, why am I triggered, And there is this notion, right, of like, when you get triggered, that's a gift, right? Because like a trigger is showing you where else you need to heal, where you need to go deeper with yourself. But it doesn't feel good to be triggered, and it's easy to be hard on yourself. You're like, oh, why did I let this person, No, you didn't let that person. What happened is that this thing came up that you need to work on. This thing came up that needs healing, that needs comfort, that needs some compassion, So, and I think, look, this time of year, I think feels even more appropriate for this kind of message, right? It's, Valentine's Day, blah. And, this holiday, can bring up some ick. And I totally get that. I 100% like, and, so this year, if that ick comes up with this holiday, like, what is it that needs healing? What is it that you're needing? How much more can you love yourself? And I know we throw that language out there a lot, but at the end of the day, I think the work, this internal work, this work of breaking through your barriers and your blocks is really, really, just really all about loving yourself, your perfections, your imperfections through and through, so that you can be in more acceptance and love of yourself, and have more openings, more heart openings, to receive what you deserve. And so, I think especially this month that, self-care is really important, and doing things for yourself, giving love to yourself, are ways to, I think, keep going deeper with your work, especially if there's resistance to it. Because if you have resistance to anything I'm saying, that probably means there's the opportunity. There's the opportunity to meet the resistance and keep going, So anyway, I think that's what I got for you on this Feisty on Friday, right? Keep doing the work, keep going deeper, and recognize that when you face the same concepts in your life and you keep hitting those blocks, that it is a gift. It is a gift, and it's a recognition that you're ready for the next phase of that lesson. It's kind of like math, right? Like you don't just take algebra and you're done. You go deeper, and it gets more complex. But it also gets easier because you've built the foundation and the building blocks to then, reach that next layer, because you don't get the next lesson until you're ready for it. So if that next lesson is coming to you, then y'all, you're ready for it. Celebrate. Like, yes, I graduated. I graduated to the next rung of this spiral staircase. So yeah, I hope that gives you some insight, some inspiration. And if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to hear from you. So I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend. This is Feisty on Friday. I'm Tosca Di Matteo, founder of Tosca Coaching and Consulting. And feel free to learn more about me at toscadimatteo.com. Ciao for now.